Hello. I am your beloved Rappsure. So I was asked by a couple of my friends, Rappsure, my great autist friend, how do you set up your OBS for the streaming and recording clips for your amazing channel on YouTube? Which you should subscribe to, by the way. So me, being the awesome friend that I am, I decided to make this video for them and, of course, for you guys. Now, one thing to note is that, again, this is just the software, OBS stuff, and maybe a couple of like Twitch side stuff, which I stream on Twitch. That's just what I prefer to stream. But of course, some receipts probably could be made for something like Kick or YouTube or whatever. So not only will I be going over the settings that I use in OBS or whatever, but I'll also be going over some of the plugins that I use, and which are some of the plugins I use are really good, especially if you're on a single PC setup like how I am. Because something might help with like how well you can organize your audio sources and everything, which is good for like tuning like the sliders and everything, fine-tuning your audio and everything for your stream or just recording in general. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so ladies and gents, there's actually something I want to show you guys before we get into OBS itself, and that is I have 3 essential plugins that I use for my stream that I think that anybody could use and probably should use, if I'm being honest. Of course I'll leave a link to all of them in the description so you guys could check them out and all that fun stuff with them and utilize them and experiment with them. And I'll try to be very brief, but here we go. All right, so the first plugin kind of want to show you guys, or at least mention, is Reaper EQ. Now Reaper EQ is very good because it helps your mic quality be more enhanced, and it does this by helping you kind of adjust your frequencies of your mic input so it can sound a bit more crispy or however you would like. Now, I'm not going to be somebody who will be going over how to set up your mic properly or sound really good in OBS because, 1, there are much better people at explaining this than I, and 2, this would probably make the video go on for longer than it will already be going to. However, I will recommend watching a video by C Music. He actually kind of helped. This video was actually very helpful to me as far as being able to what fits your mic, including if you have like a crappier like budget mic. This will also help you too, like by a lot. So he did a great job on this, very helpful. Watch it, I'll leave a link. Here we go. Nice. All right, so this is my second one that I use. It's called Wind Capture Audio. Now it is more applicable throughout the rest of the video, so I'll be going over a bit more than I did originally compared to the Reaper EQ. So if we go over to my OBS right here, you'll notice that I have 4 sliders, one titled mic, comms and game, and then music, right? So I have 4 sliders instead of just the 2. Now normally we would have 2 because of this reason. If I go to settings here, right, you'll notice if I go to audio, you'll notice that I have mic, and usually when somebody would have put like their desktop audio, that is their second one. So you'd have 2 sliders, one for your mic, one for your desktop audio, right? But the problem with that is that when you have it to desktop audio set to just everything, right, it bakes everything, your game, your comms, your music, into one audio channel. And that can be a bit of an issue because, say, if you want to edit that clip later, you can't really say you coughed or something in the middle of a play, right? And if you trying to edit that out of your video, right, it's a lot harder to do so because it's all baked into the same audio channel, which we'll get to later on. But a second reason why it's also important is because, well, let's put it this way. Say that, if you notice, right, say that I want to play music loud on my end, right? Like I want to hear, like when I'm playing a game, I want to hear all that rock and roll, right? Whatever it might be, right? If I want to blast that, right, but my audience doesn't want to hear it, right? So what's good for this one? I can adjust the music volume, right, for the stream. It's just for the stream, right? So my audience doesn't hear the music as loudly, right? So they can hear like the game audio better, or maybe my teammates' comms are better, right? Or just my mic better, right? And so it's good for that. And now, thirdly, this is probably also very important, is that say that you have it set to your, if I set this to my headphones, right? If I set this to my headphones, right? Any audio enhancements I have on my headphones, right, would also be baked into the stream or a clip, whatever it might be, right? And they might sound good at first, but let me kind of give you an example of why that would be bad. Say that I have my my bass boost on my headphones up to the max, right? The problem with that is that say that they'll be put into, as I said, it'll be automatically put into the clip or the stream, whatever, right? And I may like it a certain way, but you may not, right? You may not like how I have my bass boost up a certain way, right? So for you, the audio is already turned off. Now, even if you did have bass boost, right? Because that previous bass boost is already baked into it, you're essentially getting more bass boost, probably more than you probably would like anyways, right? So to you, it's still going to sound weird, right? So that's why you wouldn't want to do that. That's why I have all my stuff separate. That's probably a very important thing to have, because bad audio can be just as detrimental, if not more detrimental, than bad visuals. So it's one way to help you control your audio, as just a little more, a little more working fine tune, a little more the way you want to, right? It's good for you and your audience. So there we go. So the third and final plugin I kind of want to go over is SE.Live. Now, SE.Live essentially is a plugin developed by Stream Elements and everything, and it's actually what I use for my alerts and all that stuff. Now, I don't use Stream Elements and SE.Live just for my alerts, but I also use SE.Live for this too. Now, if I go inside my OBS here, you'll notice that I have my events list, right, where I see if somebody's followed me, or if somebody, donated me any money or anything like that, right? So it helps me keep track of my events from my chat a lot easier. And of course, I have my Twitch chat. And I can add more stuff too. Like if I go to my SE.Live docs, I can, maybe add in my multi-chat. I can turn on a vertical canvas, right? Like this, where I can see I want to add that in, right? As an example, right? I could also, maybe I want to test my, within OBS itself, I can also test in my alerts after all, right? So I can say, hey, look, what if somebody I need to test my bits. If somebody gave me bits, right? What would it look like, right? Click this, and there we go. I can show it just fine, right? And then that's what's really good to use for. All right, let's get into the settings and how to set up your sources and scenes and all that stuff. Let's get on to it now. All right, so the first thing we're going to cover is what scenes and sources are. Now, a scene essentially is think of it like a page, right? See, I can switch, from my main one where you see my game, my desktop, right, to something like my web, right? And of course, you can add a transition in between the two, like a stinger, which was what you saw. A stinger is like when you see a logo or something like that, and then it kind of happens like in between scenes, right? So, and I could go here, right? Break screen, right? Back to my main one, right? Those are all different scenes. Now, within each scene, you have your sources. And the sources, especially visual sources, work based on layers, right? So whatever's on top of here will be put closest to us, right? So for instance, if I don't move my webcam way down here, right, on the very bottom, you don't see my webcam anymore because it's at the very bottom of the list. But if I put it back at the top, right, I'm here again, right? You see me again, right? Same idea, right? And there are different types of sources you can do. For instance, you could add, a game capture, right? Oh, so what would it look like for a game capture? Okay, so for a game capture, right, does it really look like a good mode? Usually it's based on full screen application. You get a specific window. You can name whatever window you have open. It has to be open. Whatever game you want to stream has to be open. Add as a source. Just remember that. And they'll also tell you, hey, look, if it's required to have this as an example, right? You see here on CS2, right? I would have to have this launch option for me to for the game capture to actually properly record the game. Otherwise, I might get a black screen. Now, of course, not all games do that, right? But some games do. So if it says anything like that, like a yellow text like that, like how you saw, right? Like right here, right? Then you probably should see what it says for you to actually be able to actually use properly whatever you're trying to capture, right? Now what I'm using now is display capture, right? This is the capture of my monitor, right? But I could also change this to, my drawing tablet, right? Or I can change this back or keep this as my main, whatever it might be, right? And you just hit okay, and there we go. Of course, and here's my audio stuff, right? Here's where that plugin came in, what I was referring to with these 4 things right here. You'll notice that this is actually a type of I'll show you. It might be this one, right? Yeah, it'd be this one. So this is actually one of the things that that plugin, as I mentioned earlier, adds. You can add an application, right? As you can see, I can add multiple applications into this one source, right? So as you saw, I can have all these games right here that you see right here as an audio source, so I can capture my audio properly, right? That's an example of one. Here is my music, right? I go properties. I have Brave. I have Windows Media Player. And I don't have my Spotify open right now to show you, but yeah, I could add my Spotify here, right? Comms, right? If I go to my comms properties, I have Discord right here. See how that would work? There you go. Now that's also important for other reasons too, and that is yeah. So if you notice here, if I go to Options, Advanced Audio Properties, right, you'll see this whole entire list right here. Okay. Now this is important. You'll notice that where it says tracks, these are your audio channels / audio tracks, whatever you want to call them. The same idea. Okay. So you'll notice that it has different audio monitoring options, how much of it goes into your left or right ear, etc. Right now, you'll notice that some of these boxes and some of these things aren't checked, right? So this gets into important with how I record stuff, right? And that is, for instance, I have my mic on my first track. I have my audio. I have my game audio on my I have my alerts, right, on my second one, and same with my games, right? I have my third one on my Discord for my communications, right? And I have for number 4, that's my music and other forms of media, right? And you probably noticed I also have like all these checked on 5 and maybe a couple of them on 6 or something, right? So 5 would be what would be considered to be my stream tracking, which I'll show you right now. So if we go into our OBS settings, right, and we go to output, right, you'll notice there's streaming, recording, whatever. It's grayed up because I'm recording this with OBS, whatever. But you get the idea, okay? And that is, if you look here, right, you go to streaming first, right? See, my audio track for my stream is number 5, right? So if I pull this up, right, number 5 is all the any audio source that is ticked for number 5 is going to my stream, and that's how it works, right? So in case you're wondering what each of these mean, this just means how many seconds of delay or whatever it might have after it is supposed to happen, whatever. It might be like a delay, right? These are different volume settings or whatever based on the sliders that we did before, right? So which each of these audio monitoring does. So monitor off just means you can't hear it inside OBS, right? But it's still outputting, right? Monitor and output means that it's happening in OBS where it's output in OBS as well, and you can hear it in your ears. That's why I have like alerts as monitor and output, so I can hear my alerts when they pop off, right? Same idea. That's all that means. All right, so back to the settings. Let's go to stream and the stream and all that stuff, right? So output for streaming, when it comes to Twitch, it's always good to have the NVENC encoder on, or at least it might even have new. If it says new, use that because it'll be better quality anyways. I have a 3060, so I just have the normal NVENC one. And then I like to have my stuff here on video on 1080p and with no scaler at all. And I have my resolution, and I have my FPS value at common at 60. And that's how I stream. Now, as far as output goes, right, is actually where you probably would pay attention more. Okay, so you'll notice that when it comes to encoder settings, right, you want to put to where it says constant bitrate or CBR. It might say CBR, but it'll probably say constant bitrate. They do the exact same thing. So Twitch with affiliate and below, I believe is 6,000 kilobytes per second. But if your partner, it goes up to 8,000. Now everything else I put on keyframe at 2, preset at best quality, tuning high quality, multipass mode single pass, profile main, adaptive quantization is ticked, B frames are 2. That's why I have my streaming output goes. Now you can have your recording output. Remember put your output mode advanced. I actually have it at a separate one. You can have it the same encoder as your streaming one, and it wouldn't, and you can just roll with that, and that would be fine. Now, with these recordings I have, this is probably the most losses I could get, where it's not super humongous sizes and everything. So when it comes to your recording path, you just set that to wherever you want to, right? So I have this set to a certain folder. Whenever I'm done recording this, right, it'll go to a certain path inside my my Windows Explorer, which will be like right here, right? And then it can also, now recording format. Now recording format is the file type when it records too. Now, usually when you upload to YouTube, it'll be around like MP4 or something. But I wouldn't put an MP4 in OBS, at least for the when you're recording clips or whatever, because the reason why I say that is because say you're recording something or you're clipping something, and all of a sudden OBS just crashes on you, right? While you're recording something. If OBS crashes, God forbid, right? While that's recording, it will corrupt the file if it's an MP4. However, if it's an MKV, it'll actually will save it. It'll just cut off it'll just end the recording right there, but it won't corrupt it. So you'll still have your full file there. MKV files also take less space on your storage and everything. So it's also good if it's, hey, look, like for instance, right? I'm talking about this. I know I am because I don't really put out videos as fast as I probably should, as far as whatever. But if I go down here, I go to like CS2, right? You'll notice I have a clip to go all the way early as January, right? Which I have not added together quite yet, right? And if you go to properties, you'll notice that it's not even a gig, right? And it's technically this lasts about like a minute 35. Like it's like, and this one when you have to have it set to a higher thing. But this individual clip is set to a minute 35, and it's less than a gig. That's like half a gig, right? So I call that a win. Lower file sizes, right? And it's easier to recover. I mean, if OBS crashes, you're not gonna corrupt the file, right? So it's a really good format to use with, and you can actually use it in most video editing software, which I'll get to later on, and I'll show you how you import it and all that stuff. So on the next stuff, and that is again Encoder and Venc, right? On Encoder, you can always lead it on both streaming and recording on AAC. And you'll notice that there's these audio track with all these tick boxes. So whatever box is ticked is whatever audio channel it will record to. So you'll notice that, remembered, I have both my mic on a separate one, right? So I have my mic, which was number 1, my game, which was number 2, and my comm, which was number 3, right? So it's all recorded on separate audio tracks, and I'll show you why that's important later on, and I can show you how you could utilize that and edit all that stuff a little bit, right? Not too much. And then Encoder said you could put I put constant QP, and then rate control at constant QP for recordings, and then constant QP at 18, keyframe interval at 0 per seconds, best quality, tuning high quality, single pass, main, pretty close to the original one, but not completely, right? As my streaming, because it's a little different. And the audio, by default it's 128 for audio bit rates, but honestly, I have at 320. It doesn't seem to affect my system in too many ways, and it's better at higher bitrate quality anyway, so you should be fine. A replay buffer is actually how I use a clip. So a replay buffer is actually how I actually gather clips without having to record hours and hours and hours and then go through the whole entire thing and find my clips. I just oh, a clip happens, I want to clip it, hit a button on my stream deck. I'll pull up my stream deck right now. You'll notice that I have a save clip thing. And of course, you don't need a stream deck when you first start out, but of course, if you have one, it does help quite a lot. But again, I required to start streaming, you can just have one. But you can start your stream in other ways. But it is very helpful, I will say that. And so again, I'll actually use my replay buffer save, right? So you can actually have it to where it automatically turns on your replay buffer whenever you start streaming. You can also add, and if you want to have a replay buffer on your keyboard where it saves it automatically, you can do it on here too. So you have ways of doing it without a stream deck. I'm just trying to show you what you guys can expect with it. I'm trying to find it. Okay, guys, I found it. Sorry, it took a little bit to find it. I was blind. So if you go to general and you go down to output, you'll see a checkpoint that says automatically start with replay buffer when streaming. I have it checked, so anytime I start streaming, I'm not forgetting to hit, hey, I needed my replay buffer. It just starts with my stream. Very useful, very great. Also turn it on. There's not a reason to to turn it off. It's really just it should be on by default, to be honest. I'm surprised it isn't. Alright, so the next thing I want to show you guys how to do is add some overlays and your alerts and all that stuff. So you'll notice on the left-hand page, I also removed my camera so you can see that there's all these different categories of stuff. Now for your overlays and your alerts, you want to go to where it says streaming tools. You'll see overlays, OBS Galaxy, elements, whatever, right? So you can actually do like, you know, create some based on what some people have made, but you can also just create your own from scratch. It's up to you. Now, pretty much when you go to the overlays tab right here, it takes you to all the overlays that you have assigned to your account. And so I already have one made to account for my alerts, so we'll go from there. For example, if I wanted to edit this alert thing, I hit edit, I would open this window, this tab right here. And if I were to emulate, right, my follower, right, it's going to appear right here, right? Of course, on OBS as well, but as you can see, it's going to go right here. So I'll be asking, okay, so how do you add this to your OBS? Quite easy, actually. You'll notice that along the top right here, you'll see the save button and a bunch of other stuff. You hit save after you make your changes. And you want to hit over, you'll see if you hover over this link thing, it'll say copy overlay URL. Sorry, English is hard. Click it. You have it copied. Get to your OBS, hit add source, hit browser. Name this whatever you want, doesn't matter. Then you can, once that happens, take the URL, you backspace that, you delete it, replace it with a new URL, and then then you'll see these width and height parameters that you need to also fill out to make sure it's, you know, size and not stretching too far or whatever. Way you do that is you go back to your page here, go to overlays, find your alerts thing, right? On the three dots, you go to properties. Then go to find which is width and height, and it'll tell you what you need to put in. So it's 380 and 170. So it's the same idea. So again, 380 and 170, like so. And you can, once it's okay, you go there. Of course, if I hit emulate, right? If I do emulator, share one, right? You're gonna see it. Well, it's pretty much because it's on the far left side, right? Of course, I don't need this one because I already have, you know, what I need. So we can just go ahead and remove that. And it's the same idea with like any overlays, right? Now, if it is an overlay, right, that is made in here, that's in here. Same idea. Use the URL thing. But if you have, say, a file on your computer, you do it this way, right? So depending on what file type it is, if it's an image, you just go here to the plus, you hit image. Simple as that. You find name whatever you want. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Find a browse. Of course, I hope when you do any of your stuff, it's more organized than how I just did it. But you can do it, say, I just grabbed this, right? I hit this and boom. I have Josh's whole thing in here. I can size it down whenever I want. I can place whatever I want. It'll snap sometimes. You can have where it snaps or doesn't snap, but it doesn't matter, right? You can move it around how you want to, no issue. Okay, again, that's how you do with an image. You can also do it with text. You can put text on here. So if you notice, I add source and I added text, right? You can just add this, right? I can just do blah, 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 right? As you see, I can pop it, I can change it, whatever. Same idea, right? Remove, right? You can do it as a video. You can do media. Now we go blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now we'll try to find a video that's super quiet, hopefully. Let's do pictures. Let's do the main video, my bad. And we'll do, I guess I could do this. Right? Move it towards yeah, there we go. And that's one way you could actually do, ways you could add overlays and all that stuff to your scenes to make it more personalized for you. Now, I don't know anything about VTubers or whatever, but you can also do it. So this is how you do it for a webcam. So I don't have more than one webcam, but you do one, and you'd find the capture device, and you just type in whatever, okay, and find whatever your device is, and that's how you do it with the camera. Of course, I don't need this, so I just remove that. And that's the basics of doing it with, well, that's how you basically add your pretty much any other element besides your games and all that stuff, like overlays and all the fun stuff. Okay, now let's go ahead and get onto the Twitch account stuff to where we can show you what I would definitely enable and what I would do on your Twitch account. All right, so you're on Twitch and everything. One thing I recommend doing for sure is making sure that your VODs are enabled. So if you don't know how to enable them, here's how you do it. First off, you go to your Twitch page. We'll go to your Twitch, find your icon, click on it, find where it says Career Dashboard. This page right here. And find on this left-hand side, you're gonna find where it says Settings right here, and it's Stream. Then you're gonna find where it says VOD Settings and Stream Rewind, and you're just gonna tick this, and it'll save your past VODs. Now, what VODs are, is that those are essentially past broadcasts, as it says right here, that Twitch will save to your page, at least for a little bit. Won't see it forever, but it'll definitely see it for, you know, for a short time where you can, you know, go back to it and see what you did and everything, and even clip it even afterwards. And clipping is really good because even though that you might use a replay buffer, one thing that the clipping is really good for is that it is also good for trying to shorts, to post to like YouTube Shorts. It's good to post to TikTok and all, and Instagram and all that fun stuff. So we're gonna go on to that next and how you can actually do that. So I'm actually gonna show you where you'd find your VODs once they're actually done. So go back to your channel. You're gonna find where it says videos. Now all of these essentially, or all of these are recent broadcasts that I've had in the past, you know, a few months or so and everything. And I can actually do is if I wanted to use the last one, right? I can actually open this one up, right? And I can actually and then I can also do is I can duplicate this tab for a second, right? And go back, you can pause that, you can go back here to Career Dashboard, and I find where it says Content Video Producer, right? And I'll give you your last thing. Now when you go to say highlight, right? You can highlight this one. This is the most recent one, right? So I can't clip in here. I can create highlights, but I can't clip here. But you can clip here. Say that I wanted to go. Say I had a segment that was right about here, right at 4:13 on this screen, right? I can go back to the original one on the actual page of it. Go to 4:13, and then start my clip there. I can go to clip here and then do my thing. Of course. Now I won't do it here because I obviously don't need this. I can discard clip, whatever. But what's great? Why? So how would I be able to do this? So one thing I have also done, and you probably noticed this earlier in the video, is that when I went to my stream deck, I went to here, and 2 actions for save clip. I have one that says in my actual local file itself, right? And I have one that says create a stream marker. And what this does, say if I was go to highlighter, the marker would show up as here, much like, and it looked like exactly what this is. This little arrow thing pointing down. It would look exactly like that if I was on here. Now it won't appear here on like if you're on the VOD page itself. If you go to highlighter, you can find where it's at. Click on where the marker's at, and then go use that marker as a reference, and then come back to here. Back here, and then flip it to where it was at originally, right? And then with clips, what's nice about the clipping system in Twitch is that if I were to go back to my clips and everything, right? Say I want to go back here and I want to, let's see, top all, let's do 24 hours, I guess, I don't know. Let's do 30 days, I guess. Or I guess maybe not. Hello? Thank you. Let's see, if I find one that was recent, let's see. Right here, right? So I go here. And then you can also, if I want to add the clip, right? Or even change it, right? You can see that I can also change the layout of where the actual window is. If I wanted to put this on my face, I could do it, right? And once I was done, I'm going to cancel this actually because I don't need to, you know, save the edit all. But if I wanted to share it, right, and go to say TikTok, right, I could do it to TikTok, right? Add it whatever tags I want to. And it's pretty easy to do. I can do it all from the same page on Twitch. And that is one way to clip in on TikTok or something, or Instagram, or even YouTube Shorts. So I'm actually doing 2 things at once. By one, clipping where I'm actually going to set the file to edit into my videos, where it's the highest quality. And then on the lower quality ones, I put as the TikTok ones, or like the vertical ones, the short form contents and everything. All right, so the last thing I guys want to show you guys before I end the video was how much easier it would be to say edit a video that you have, or a clip, whatever it might be, right? When you have multiple audio channels from different sources, such as your mic, you know, your comms and everything else being separate. For example, I have my game audio and my Discord audio completely muted, right? So now you just hear just my voice. I'll let you listen to this right now, okay? I don't know if Stu played with P2K. Right there, you just heard just my voice, no game audio, nothing, right? Now let's listen to the second track, right? Where's just the game. Right, see, game audio sounds pretty natural, whatever, right? And if I were to only unmute the third track, which would be my, my Discord call, you probably would hear this.
Toes sucker.
Fuck your toes, fuck your ticky toes.
See, now it's just my friend. That was just Discord, right? Let's say I wanted to edit that last part out from my friend saying something about toes, right? What I would do is I could easily take this clip, right? I mean, it's unlinked. I have it unlinked from each other, right? You can have it to where I edit out this part where he talks completely, right? Like this, right? Hit delete selected, right? And I could just rebind all this stuff together so it's all together again. Right now, let's listen to all of it together, okay? I don't know if that's Stu. See, even though you probably noticed that I did, yes, I did edit that out. But if you guys didn't watch me edit that out, you guys probably wouldn't have ever known that anything was missing from that clip. That was released from the original raw footage, right? Because the game audio and my mic audio were separate from my Discord audio, right? You probably hadn't, like, it sounded more natural, right? And that's why you should always have multiple audio tracks whenever recording anything, right? Especially games, right? Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope this helped you guys. Have a wonderful night. Take care. Bye-bye.